Live look over Mar-a-Lago as President-elect Trump continues to build the team that will help him run the country just over 2 months from now. He's also preparing to get ready to go to the White House tomorrow for his meeting with current President Biden, which, of course, will be very interesting for all of us to watch. So the administration says that his attorney general could be, quote, the most important pick of all. These are some of the names that are considered to be in the mix. They include Utah Senator Mike Lee, former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe, and Matt Whitaker. You see the other names up there: Ken Paxton, Jay Clayton, Mark Paoletta, and as I mentioned, Matt Whitaker, who also served as acting Attorney General in the Trump administration, joins me now. Matt, good to have you with us. Obviously, this is a big decision. Hi there, for the administration to make, and you have served as acting before. Is this, can you give us any insight into whether or not this is a post that you are interested in? And you're down there in Florida right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Florida, and, this is obviously totally up to Donald Trump and who he wants to be his attorney general. It is a very important position. He knows that because of his first term. He experienced, what an attorney general can and can't do, and how what the building does is important to the success of his administration. But, Donald Trump also, I think, is looking at this situation knowing that he has some great talent for his entire administration. We've seen him name some people that I know and people that I think are impressive and will do a great job for him. But ultimately, this is, I'm sure he's taking his time and thinking through this to make sure that he gets the right person in that role.
One of the issues, obviously, throughout the last 4 years was something that you and I have discussed in the weaponization that we've seen in these legal cases. And I think about reporting that Fani Willis was up at the White House and discussing something with President Biden, although she said she wasn't discussing anything related to these cases. So tell me what you think the next attorney general, and, as we've mentioned, you're one of the people considered on that list. How do you get rid of the ingrained weaponization, as has been reported, in the Department of Justice? How do you start to do that?
Right. Well, you're right. Nobody knows the weaponization of the Department of Justice and the legal system more than Donald Trump. He has been the target of these ridiculous, novel legal theories. They raided his home. They, took him to trial in New York City. And so, his attorney general is going to have to stand in the gap. They're going to have to know the building and the department. They're going to have to know how on day one to move out on the president's agenda. Because, quite frankly, with his election mandate from the American people, there's not going to be any time to waste. And I know everyone that is going to be in his administration are going to lock arms and move out on, the things that help Americans, live day to day, and focuses on, at the Department of Justice, for example, violent crime, national security issues, and most importantly, being dedicated to the rule of law.
Ask you real quickly, Matt, with the discussion about removing potentially millions of people, deporting millions of people, the Department of Justice would have to have a hand in that, and doing that in a legal way. Give me your perspective on what that would look like, because some people, have expressed that they're afraid that their families will be separated. How do you view that?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt if you're a terrorist or a criminal and you're here illegally, you should expect to leave the country immediately. After that, obviously, you've heard Tom Homan and others talk about the process with which they're going to run that. But the Department of Justice runs the courts, the immigration courts, and are going to have to be very important in moving that agenda and making sure that those courts function and remove folks that should not be here in our country.
All right, Matt Whitaker, we'll be watching this decision. Not sure when it's going to come. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.